Hello, everyone. Welcome to our homes. This is Roger and Lou, and we would like today to talk about how negativity, how that affects us in our lives, and then on the opposite side, how being positive also affects us. So I'm Lou Urban. I'm a energy healer and transformational coach, and my co-host is.
And I'm Roger Dawson. I am a Reiki master, hypnotherapist, life coach, and just generally into law of attraction. There you go.
Awesome. Yeah, you and I are both into law of attraction.
Well, it's an interesting thing. We're lots of things, but ultimately, I guess I'm energy sitting here on this planet, right?
So, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, and that's kind of, it's ironic that you bring up law of attraction, because that's kind of what our topic is about. The way that we view the world through either a positive lens or a negative lens attracts that to us. Would you agree?
I would agree. And actually, so Lou and I kind of work from a list of topics, and they're interesting topics. Sometimes they're kind of wordy, and I'll fall over the words or whatever, or certainly at least a great discussion. And the kind of the area we're kind of focused on really is around this positivity, negativity, and what we're focusing on, but really taking that negative space and making it become very unfamiliar to your being and your attention or your focus. Wouldn't you say, Lou?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because what we focus on, we generate that in our lives. What we focus on expands. So
yeah,
if we want to focus on the negative, that will expand.
Uh-huh. It will expand. And I think that as we try to make that unfamiliar to our being, I think it really is being aware of those feelings and kind of honoring whatever has got you to that spot.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of turn your direction of focusing on that story of what you are looking for, right? Maybe
Absolutely.
Not that something's lost, but kind of that, when you're kind of in a negative space, how to kind of flip that to a positive space. And how you feel that way is by kind of how you're feeling in your heart center, right? You probably feel a little bit more relaxed, maybe a little warm and cozy feeling in there. And that kind of takes that negativity to an unfamiliar spot. It's kind of like looking at a movie screen, and it kind of fades to black.
Oh, absolutely. I guess I look at it this way, that it is, no matter what we view, how we view our current circumstances, if we view them as negative, we can still choose not to see the negativity. We can choose, it's all about choice. It's changing your perspective. So, I'm unhappy with whatever. Let's just say my job. Let's say I'm unhappy with my job. Mm-hmm. And so then I start listing off all the things that are bad about my job. Well, nothing is truly all bad or all good. So what happens if I instead flip it over and I start looking at all the things that I appreciate about my job, all the things that are the positives? What happens to me? What happens to the people around me? It's that choosing to be positive rather than negative that fuels abundance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you were saying that, the hit I got really, and there's an Abraham Hicks process that kind of says, write down all the stuff that you don't want or that you don't like or whatever your,
mm-hmm.
Disconnected state is that's driving you crazy. Like you said, you got the job example, right? And then right next to if it's your boss is, mean to you, well, what do you want? And then you kind of change the direction to focus on that which you do want, right? And it kind of takes your energy through this state of negative, disconnected with source or your happy spot. And then,
yes.
Right,
Yes.
And then it kind of gets you to, oh, but I really want this boss that appreciates me and, and recognizes the great things I do to help make him or
Mm-hmm.
her look good.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, I mean, that's an interesting energy to see and I'm kind of into this. To me, it's like a flow of energy, kind of an ebb and flow, right? And to be able to transition that, because I find that a lot of times in the work example, I'll see people stay very focused on all the can'ts in life instead of the can or the want,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
and they'll and all of those can'ts are the conversations at the water cooler,
Absolutely.
right? Most of the
Absolutely.
cans or the wants are they're kind of, I mean, that's usually not much of a water cooler conversation. So yeah.
Absolutely. I read an article. I get a daily post that comes to me
Mm.
recently, and I recently read an article about changing that same perspective, that whatever it is that we're focusing on will expand for us. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Those people that are around the water cooler, that they're saying all the things that are bad, more, think about that. More and more people come to the water cooler. The number of people expands, the conversation expands, everybody puts in something else, it becomes bigger and bigger. Well, what if it was on a positive instead? That, somebody said something positive, and then somebody else joined in, and somebody else joined in. We could move mountains just by being positive.
Yes, we could, and the other thing that just an interesting observation, right? At the water cooler, and you're focused on how bad the job is, the company,
Mhm.
whatever is, it's
Yes.
benefit season, so I'm sure everybody's medical insurance is going to go up, or I'm sure that you'll hear that story down the road, and that will
Oh
bring a
yeah,
lot of.
absolutely.
But it's almost like you clamp off the energy connection to your heart center, your we really are love, right? That's really what
Yes.
we are. We
Yes.
are love energy. And when you kind of get to that negative spot, that a lot of times you kind of gravitate to, because you're right, what you focus on will expand. And it's that person that can douse the love energy or the positive energy in that crowd, and to choose not to take in, because there is this overall pendulum of a larger conscious, because we are one, right?
Absolutely.
And we're also, there's social conditioning, right? So I think the example of a career situation, a work situation, it's benefit season, and I guarantee you that there's a good chance that it's very rare that you hear benefits of medical premiums have gone down. They usually go up at least a penny, right?
Absolutely.
And we're socially conditioned to think that is the way it should be.
Yes.
So that's an overarching pendulum, or a energy that we all fall into due to the social conditioning that we have, and so I think the statement that you and I have had around getting that negative to be unfamiliar
Mm-hmm.
it's what a gratifying thought, right? Wow.
Absolutely. If we can,
And
go ahead.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Well,
If
I was going to say, as we kind of get going here, um, it's almost like stepping on that garden hose and seeing the water stop.
Yes.
So whenever it stops, that's when we're at the water cooler,
Uh-huh.
complaining or whatever, buying into the conversation, and then when we leave the water cooler, the water starts flowing again.
Yes.
I
And
don't know.
when you were
Yeah.
talking about that, about the
Mhm.
flow, to me, that's, energetically, I look at how much energy we waste on being negative, that it drains our energy. Whenever we're positive, we're fueled. We have even more energy, so from a energy management perspective,
Mhm.
it is so much easier to do all the things that you want to do when you're in the positive rather than the negative. The struggle isn't there. Things come easily.
Mhm.
So again, it's all about fueling what it is that we want. If we um, are in the negative all the time, we're just going to keep generating that, and we're going to keep draining our energy and feeling more and more dragged down. But if we're in the positive, oh my gosh, it just keeps, the better it gets, the better it gets.
You know, it's almost like you're right, and you'll hear of healers who will try to cut those darker energy or negative energy cords off of, you know, maybe it's a chakra that could be out of alignment. It could be a number of things. You'll hear that, and I don't think a lot of people talk about that. But
No,
there are things that we can do to get that, you know, to become unfamiliar with being negative.
exactly.
You know,
Exactly. And like we started out saying, this is all about choice. It is a choice not to engage in that negative, not to see the negative. You know, even if you're, you know, I'm telling it the way that it is, okay? Everything is negative and I'm telling it the way that it is. Well,
and you've got a 60-page report proving it, right?
absolutely. You know, if I'm telling it the way that it is, well, why can't I tell it the way that it is from what I want it to be, not from the way that I'm seeing it?
Yeah, you know, and I find that this all sounds grand and should be a simple thing, but there is all of this other energy around you that's just like, you know, a big well, like one of those ball of electricity, you know, you'll see them like in science experiments or whatever, that's just a shooting stuff around and what have you. And you know, and I think some of those negative charges, you know, certainly can grab you, or at least the things
Oh, yeah.
that are like social things, or you know, a belief system like Republican or Democrat, or you know, whatever your favorite sports team is, you know, you'll grab into that. And I think that the deal is to probably lessen the importance of
Mm-hmm.
you know, are you the left or the right? Because really, you're just.
Exactly.
And I think sometimes it's getting to that being state and coming to that centered place in who you are.
Yeah, yeah. I think that am I hearing you correctly that this is what you're saying, that the belief state is in the mind. It's not who we truly are. That the positive is who we truly are. Is that? Am I on the right
Well,
track?
you are on the right track, and the thing that really come to me was, you know, beliefs kind of come from here inside
Mhm.
this brain, because it's
Yes,
about the data and the cognitive functions and all that stuff. And then really who we are is right here in our heart center.
absolutely. Yeah.
And certainly, and then the other thing that I don't think anybody really talks about is, well, isn't everything just, I mean, time's an illusion, so everything is just speeding, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything's just really fast. Like, wow, it was just Friday afternoon, and I was leaving for work, you know, leaving for my long weekend, and here it is, you know, Tuesday or whatever. I mean, I think those things, that it's a lot for that heart mind connection to process, which is I think how possibly, with all of that going on and that energy out there, because there's my energy, your energy, and you know, everyone around us here, all of the, you know, even things that aren't human beings, right? There's, you know, plants have energy
Mm-hmm.
that we pick up on, because we're like sponges,
Oh,
right?
absolutely. And,
And,
you know, how about that person at work that's the negative Nelly? You know,
oh,
who wants to be around the negative Nelly? You know, or then look at that person who's the ray of sunshine. That's, you know, everybody gravitates to that person because they've always got a smile on their face, a kind word for everybody. They're seeing how beautiful the world is. You know, we want to be in that space with other people who are positive. We choose naturally to avoid the negative. And so all it is to me is that it's being aware that we have our own negativity that's going on, and choosing to reframe it, and instead look at the positive instead of what the negative is.
and I think that as a person does that, I think you'll see whatever that negative energy is. I mean, so we're using the positive negative analogy, but whatever that
Yeah.
less than loving energy is,
Yes.
as you focus more on the loving energy,
Yeah.
those experiences just kind of fall away. They just kind of
Absolutely.
go away, and whether that be lifelong friends or that boss that is just awful that finally gets fired or whatever, or
Yeah.
I mean, I think we probably both could I can give examples for about most everything I'm talking about here.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I know you and I both can.
Right, and
Yes.
I think that you know what do they say? Is it 70 to 80,000 thoughts a day we have?
Wow.
Is somewhere I recently heard that. So let's just go with that as what it is. I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot. I think we would
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
And of those, how many are really positive?
Yeah.
Right. And we won't even talk about the monkey mind that goes on inside us. Right. Because we all have that little inner voice saying, hey, that a boy, or man, you could have done that better, or whatever. Right. Or, there's always the inner critic and stuff. And that could be a whole different topic. But I think that as you take that first step, which is how journeys start, right? You got to take that step one. That's kind of why we're
Absolutely.
having this conversation. Right. And then one becomes two, and two becomes four, and four becomes eight, and it just literally, before you know it, the momentum through quantum physics, right? You probably have weeded out so much of that lower level energy, the negative stuff,
Mhm.
that you really start to kind of live into this world of not fairy tales necessarily, but certainly that
Yeah.
the story you want to live, right? Because that's something
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
totally agree with you. Yeah.
And both, and I think both, if yes, we are using the terms negative and positive, and that's certainly a judgment, okay?
Right.
Less than what we want or what we want. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we start having experiences of more than what we want more of that. Negativity is also addicting, just like positivity is addicting. And
Mm-hmm.
it's only us that chooses which part we're addicted to.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You know, oh, I really, I love how you say that, because we've all been in a situation, whether it be a social circle of friends or the work scenario or even the family unit, where, oh my gosh, they're just too happy, right? And judgment comes in there and they're just too happy, or right, or they're just too negative.
Yeah.
And I'll speak for myself. There's times where I go through my little bout where, just leave me alone. I want to be in my miserable place.
Yeah.
And it's part of a growth. I think the thing is do you stay in that place, or do you,
Hmm.
do processes, or talk to yourself, or, go take a cold shower, or whatever it is to get you there. And again, just part of this overall arching we are one thing, there's an awful lot of negativity in this world. And I think that
Yes.
as we become aware, right? So aware, awaken, those are interesting words that people that we use, similar meaning, right? But that is the first step in healing any of this, is
Yes.
becoming aware of it. And it can happen that fast. You can go from
Absolutely.
the gates of hell to the gates of heaven, literally
Absolutely.
that fast. Because again, it's all about, multiple dimensions of reality.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Hmm. So question for you:
Yes.
what would be one thing, a process or a thought or you know a help tool, little Reader's Digest version of what would help the folks that are maybe listening to this, that from your eyes, that could kind of help them become less familiar with the negative?
So I guess one thing that I would suggest is that, it's all about awareness is what it is. So when we become aware of a situation that we're not enjoying, I'll say it that way, that we wish would be something different, then maybe it's as simple as asking a question of ourselves. What do I want? What do I want? And then seeing what in that experience is in alignment with what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Appreciating the parts that are in alignment with what I want.
Mm-hmm.
That will help it to grow, to change the course, to make it go towards the positive. What do you think of that, Roger?
I think that is wonderful advice. I do. And certainly there's many things that as people would focus on, as you've suggested, because again, what you said, what we focus on expands, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's a lot of expansion in those statements that you have, and I think you've given some really sound advice for somebody that might be in a less than happy spot in their life.
Absolutely. And so, Roger, do you have a tip you would like to share as well, or a suggestion?
I really resonate with the awareness, and then aligning your energy to how you want to feel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and you might be at the gates of hell and just want to be, here back on earth, right? Because so I think that aligning your energy with how you want to feel, being aware of, oh, I don't feel in this good spot. I can feel I'm cut off. Don't even know what to do with it. And that can be frustrating. And then through awareness, you kind of get to that point, well, let me just get to that one grain of sand higher on the vibrational scale of energy or feelings, right?
Yes.
That will kind of get you there. And through the expansion that we've talked about, that will grow from the different levels. And before you know it, you're at the pearly gates of heaven.
Absolutely.
So I know was kind of wordy. So
No. I understand. I'll reiterate it back that it's if we're feeling something that is an emotion that we don't that we're not necessarily liking, okay, whatever that emotion is, looking for something and feeling an emotion that we like better, that feels better to us. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Just looking for that one thing that might feel a little less miserable to us.
Exactly.
Right.
Something that makes us feel better.
Yeah. And closing thoughts on that, because it just came to me, because this really does work. Mm-hmm. When you're just in the gates of hell and you just need to be left alone, go take a nap. I'm not even going to tell you. I'm not even going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you to go. The idea is a lot of people, go meditate. Just go take a nap. You'll wake up in a better mood.
Absolutely. Yes. Do something that adjusts your attitude.
Well, taking a nap will certainly allow the negative to become unfamiliar.
Absolutely. Yes. So anything else you'd like to say, Roger?
No, I'm good, Miss Lou.
Okay. I am too. Thank you so much for joining us for this conversation today. If you'd like to know more about Roger, you can go to his website at rogerkdawson.com, and I'm at louurban.com. Thanks so much.
Namaste.
Namaste.